So I wanted to do a little video on DECI, the dark horse. Could it be the best performer in the RH ecosystem in 2024, 2025? So we had a little pump a day or two ago, and the Maximus Twitter posted these prices, and kind of the thing that stood out is DECI's 24-hour change was the highest out of all of the Maximus products, which is kind of cool to see. I want to say it's a surprise, but DECI is just so undervalued that I want to talk about in this video kind of why it's kind of programmed into outperform a lot of the RH products, and how it could actually end up being the top performer in the RH ecosystem just because of how depressed it is right now. So if we go and take a look at what should we have a look at? Let's look at this first. So the discount charts, I mean, I've been banging on about this, but you can see PDECI here way below its backing value, below the mint as well. EDECI 2 below the mint, just below the mint, below the backing value. So it's undervalued, that's for sure, compared to the other kind of maxi products, and it's undervalued compared to its backing in hex. So what does this actually mean? Well, if we go over to the table view, you can kind of see EDECI here in this column. This is the discount versus the backing. It's down like minus 35% from its backing. That gives you an effective APY of around 40% APY. So 40% yield per year. That's for EDECI. If we go to PDECI, it's kind of a similar story. Because of the massive discount, you're getting an effective APY of around 44% per year, and that's the highest APY out of all of the maxi products. And a large part of that, you can see the APY in hex is lower than maxi, but a large part of the higher effective APY in dollars, if you buy today, is just because of the mispricing of the product. The market price is so much further below kind of the backing value that you're getting a much higher effective APY, which is very cool. What that means is that if you buy DECI at the 10-year mark when it ends, you're going to be sitting on more yield than if you bought any other token, Maxi, Lucky, Trio, and Base. So already, just looking at the Maxi products at the 10-year mark anyway, it's going to have outperformed, right? Based on these numbers. Now, think about Liquid Hex. I mean, it's going to outperform Liquid Hex by default because it's a hex stake. You're earning yield. Liquid Hex doesn't earn yield. So PDECI versus PHEX is going to outperform PHEX. So PDECI and DECI in general is going to outperform all the Maximus products over a 10-year span, right? And Hex itself. So that's pretty cool that that's kind of programmed in just because of the discount now. But then let's take that a step further and think through, what do we want to think through? Let's think through Hex and Pulse. Yeah, PHEX and Pulse. So there's the crowd out there that thinks PHEX could outperform Pulse. Now, this is kind of the thing, because Pulse is like a cycle one coin. It has that cycle one narrative, and I mean, PHEX is kind of a cycle one coin too, but Hex has it has more history to it. But yeah, if you look at the price of PHEX versus Pulse, and you switch to that ratio instead of looking at it in dollars, you can see that PHEX has actually been outperforming Pulse. We are seeing kind of a big drawdown right now, but it's been in this kind of uptrend over the past 6 months since Pulse Chain launched, which is pretty interesting. So that means that, okay, if p-hex is outperforming pulse and p-DECI is kind of programmed in to outperform p-hex, then by definition, p-DECI will outperform pulse. You know, if you're in that camp, if you're in that group of thinking that p-hex will outperform pulse. A lot of people think that pulse will outperform pulse-X. We've been seeing that until now. The pulse-X price has really been, you know, dropping versus the SAC rate and also versus pulse itself. Incentive token, I don't hear many people shouting about incentive token outperforming all the other RH products, and DECI is backed by Hex itself. And then, yeah, so there is a case for DECI being the top performing coin just because of it's so undervalued right now in the next bull run. We could see a snap back to its backing value. We could see it at a raging premium. We could see all of the perpetuals and maxi products at a raging premium versus their underlying value. Now, the kind of question becomes, okay, so E-DECI or P-DECI, and that's just the E-hex, P-hex argument all over again. We could, I mean, the contrarian play right now is to buy E-hex, right? Just because it's kind of, there's all that kind of E-hex, P-hex FUD around it. There's the BankX guys holding a large bag of E-hex. There's, you know, the whole, oh, we forked and we migrated away from Ethereum narrative. And so the kind of contrarian play is to just buy E-hex, you know. So that is the contrarian play. And then I feel like DECI is the contrarian, E-DECI is the contrarian of the contrarian plays. It's like you're buying a token which will probably outperform on, you know, all the other Maximus tokens, including Hex itself. Now, if E-hex and the ratio of E-hex to P-hex, which I have up here, you can see that it's been at around, this is E-hex versus P-hex, so it's around 50% of the value of P-hex. So it's like 2 to 1. One P-hex is worth around 2 E-hex. It's gone all the way down to around a 3 to 1 ratio, and then it's been kind of as high as nearly a 1 to 1. And at launch of Pulse Chain, it was E-hex was actually worth more than P-hex. So this is still something that we're seeing play out. This kind of chopping and the ratio changing between E and P-hex, but the most entertaining outcome would probably be if E-DECI was the top performing RH kind of ecosystem coin in the next bull run. And because that's the most entertaining outcome, I'm kind of thinking like, you know what, it could happen. No one is talking about that. I haven't heard a single person utter that, hey, I think E-DECI is going to outperform everything, even though like there is a high chance that it will outperform Liquid Hex. I mean, it will outperform Liquid Hex on its native chain, respective native chain. It could be the one that runs the most, just because E-hex could be, you could say that it's undervalued versus P-hex. Hex could run more than Pulse Chain, and DECI is undervalued versus all of the other pooled stake tokens. So something to think about. And personally, I'm a big fan of DECI. I think it is the contrarian play. Let me know what you think in the comments. All right, speak soon.